Welcome to What's Up, Bolts? I'm Fernando Ramirez, that cowboy hat wearing, sunglass donning.
Woo!
Is Dan and Dago. Another interesting week. Obviously, the Chargers lost to the Kansas City Chiefs 30-27 on Sunday Night Football. It was yet another close game where the Chargers seemed like they kind of had control of the game. Second half, in the first half against the 49ers as well. Second half comes around. It seemed like the opposing team made adjustments. They were able to take advantage of some of the things that the Chargers were doing, and the Chargers weren't able to hold on to those leads. And like I said, they've been scored 29-7 in the second half. That should be a little bit concerning to them moving forward. But this, like Brandon Staley said, this is a new week. This weekend they go and they face the Arizona Cardinals, who, I mean, I know people joke and people joked about it a couple of years ago in 2020 when the Falcons posted that meme where it was like them pointing at the Chargers and them looking similar. But I think there's a lot of similarities between the Chargers and the Cardinals right now. Two teams who a lot of teams had high expectations for. The Cardinals haven't been able to put it together, whether it was the DeAndre Hopkins suspension or whether it was the Kyler Murray not playing up to his potential. Well, it's just all going to be interesting. We'll dive into that. No guests today, but plenty of Dan and Dago, which I know a lot of people do enjoy.
Let's go. You already know I'm fired up. It's a new week. It is what it is. What happened last week, we don't need to talk about the Chiefs anymore. But, I mean, it's on Arizona. And hopefully they're a more dysfunctional franchise than we are. The Chargers are, and they'll be able to sneak out a victory.
It is, and we spoke to Derwin James on Sunday, and Derwin said that they just need to put stuff together. The Chargers do. They just need a win, and then it'll kind of keep on going. He's like, yeah, we do need some guys back, but I feel like we can handle business, and they have been getting some guys back. They got Keenan Allen back last week. He did practice fully on Wednesday, so that's a good sign for him. Moving forward, another guy that people have a question about is Mike Williams, and he didn't practice on Wednesday, but Brandon Staley said you will see him at some point, and that there is a possibility that he could play on Sunday against Arizona. Obviously, he'd have to feel basically pretty good to be able to play, be able to cut, be able to do what he usually does. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers rested him one more week, especially because next week you go against the Raiders. You give Mike an extra week to heal up and get ready for the other game or for the next game. But it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if Mike does play. I mean, like I said, you'd probably give him another week of rest, maybe, just because. I mean, obviously he just came back. He got hurt.
And he got hurt in the first quarter, right?
I think it was
the first quarter.
It might have been late in the first. Yeah, it might have been late.
Yeah, it was pretty early. That's why it's like if he's already hurt pretty early in the first, you might as well not push it.
But see, there's some positives. I mean, and obviously people are like positives. Yeah, there's a positive out of it. And there's a positive out of what Justin Herbert has been experiencing. I know that people have been hating on him and everything, but I said a couple of days ago that I thought this is going to help Justin in the long run because he's going to develop relationships with other players that aren't Keenan Allen, that aren't Mike Williams. Look at Joshua Palmer. He had 8 catches for 107 yards and 2 touchdowns. Who was expecting that from him? Yeah, so he really had a big game against the Kansas City Chiefs, and he was moving around doing some really good things. So that's another thing. Justin needs to be able to develop with a relationship with some of those other receivers. That's why right now I'm giving Patrick Mahomes credit, because without Tyreek Hill, he has developed those relationships with Juju Smith-Schuster, Mecole Hardman, with Kadarius Toney. I know some of these guys aren't playing yet, or some of the guys are hurt.
Yeah.
But you can tell he really has developed a relationship with a lot of his weapons, and he isn't so dependent on the Travis Kelce's, on the Tyreek Hills, the way he was in years past. So that's what Justin kind of needs to turn into now. Now you have to, because you're not always going to have Keenan. You're not always going to have Mike. There's going to be games where you're going to have other players, and he's going to learn that he's learning that this year the hard way, especially going up against San Francisco and some of these other tough teams that they've had to face.
Well, yeah, right. iron sharpens iron. And, I can't remember if it's the pearl. No, is it the pearl? Yeah, I think a pearl's made through the most immense pressure possible.
Yeah.
And that's what's on the other side is a pearl. So it's like life is the greatest teacher. And that's what he's experienced these past 4 weeks or whatever it's been without Mike and Keenan. And, hopefully he just keeps growing off of that. Because you remember, credit where credit's due. You remember that 1 year under Turner, Rivers was throwing. He was making guys look like all pros who were undrafted free agents, like all of them.
Michael
North
and
Turner didn't even know their names half the time.
Patrick Creighton,
Jared Tutu. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I think that's when you when a quarterback goes from being good to being great, when he elevates the receivers around him, when he elevates the team around him. And I think that's a big component in a team taking the next step.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's the thing. He's definitely gonna have to learn from that stuff. And I think it's only gonna make him a better quarterback. And that's definitely gonna be the next step in his ascension. So and obviously, like I said, this is a mirror image of the two teams. It seems like when you talk about the Cardinals and the Chargers, both have experienced a lot of injuries. Both have dealt with some things. Well, here's what Brandon Staley had to say about the two teams and maybe them being mirror images of each other, because both of them came in with a lot of expectations and they kind of haven't lived up to them.
Well, I think they've encountered a lot of, challenges this year in terms of being cleaned out by injuries, and they're still a very dangerous team. They've played everybody really tough, and the season's not over yet. They still have a really good team. They're getting some guys back, and starting with Kyler, and but they're a very dangerous team. And there's a reason why people thought of them that way, is because they have a good enough team to beat you. And so we're gonna have to be at our best on Sunday for sure.
Obviously, he is right. I think I think House of Horns, Gilbert and Vic the producer, I think they would agree too that that it basically is a 2-horse race now for that NFC West. I really do think that Arizona's out of it. I think the Rams are out of it. I think it's really just between the Seattle Seahawks and the 49ers, and it seems like the 49ers are starting to gain more and more steam as the weeks go along. Obviously, this weekend it's I think the Seattle Seahawks face the Raiders in Seattle, so that should be a crazy game. And yeah, so I definitely think that's it's a 2-horse race, but I still feel like the Cardinals are a dangerous team, and they have some good playmakers on that team.
100%. And why are the 49ers starting to heat up and catch up? Because what two things always travel, Frown? A great defense and an even better run game. That's the thing that always separates the good from the great.
Speaking of that, before we keep on moving forward with this Cardinal stuff, I wanted to see if you could break down a little film for us on Kansas City and the way they were able to exploit the Chargers defense. Here's some of the run play. So here you have, obviously, Kansas City has a great offensive line. They've really spent a lot of money on it. Just talk about right here. This is a run to Isaiah Pacheco.
So good. I already like this, because if you could cut off, both A gaps, you are guaranteed 3 to 4 yards. And if someone picks up Tranquil, that's going to be 5+ easy. Look at Pacheco, though. The way he's lined up is so weird. Oh, they run a counter. Oh, I love that. I love counter. Wow, this guard, though, his first mistake is he didn't pull tight enough to the line of scrimmage. I'm surprised Khalil Mack didn't make the play on that. He pulled terribly right there. When you're pulling, right, the first puller, go back real quick, he's supposed to be as tight as possible to these offensive linemen, right? And he wants to cut off, he wants to take away the inside leverage from Khalil, right? So he hits the wrong shoulder. He hits his outside shoulder instead of his inside shoulder. If Khalil was a little more aware, he could have made that play in the backfield and gone past him, right? So if I'm coming to you, right, say, oh, how can I do this? Say I'm coming to well, you understand what I'm saying, right? You have to take away his inside shoulder, right? So right there, he would take away, our right, looking at the film, our right or his right shoulder right there. That way you cut him off. The second puller looks like he does good and go find somebody. I think he follows him right into the hole, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing. He didn't pull tight. He had a bad angle. He was on the wrong side of this guy. Oh, he gets washed up in his own guy, I think, right here. Oh, well, I guess at least he picks up somebody.
Hey, this kid's good at cutting. Wow. I'm very like watch this cut because there's a Charger that's gonna come in and try and tackle him. Look at the way Pacheco cuts right there.
Oh yeah, he had good vision. Yeah. Well, go back real quick. I love this. This is my favorite part, right? Down blocking. Look how far they push this guy back. I don't even know if that's Fayoko or who that double team, but look how they're, each taking half of the man, and look how they're under their pads until it's time. Oh, and he even kind of gets a pancake. That's just beautiful right there. There's nothing more dangerous in an offensive playbook than pulling guards or down blocking linemen. Those are both just deadly because they clean your clock real quick on both if you're not paying attention.
Here's another one. Hey, this one's with McKinnon and Jarek McKinnon.
Yeah, I see him. Oh, we got a stunt. Look how they pick it up, dude. Look how they're patient. That's what the whole thing's about, dude. Look how they're patient through the whole thing. I don't know what their or pass protection is, but look how patient they are through the whole thing. Oh, I thought Kenneth Murray was closer. Oh,
my bad. Hold on.
That's right. No worries.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah. Look, pause it real quick. So pre-snap, right? Center knows if they're in man-to-man protection, he's going to pick up one of those too, right? So the fact that he remains patient after he snaps to go through his progression, right? Because sometimes what they teach is stick, back, or looper safety. So if your guy disappears, you're thinking of the stick. Stick doesn't come. You're thinking of the backer coming. You don't see a backer, then it's the looper coming, like taking a longer course and coming back around. Then obviously the last one's the safety. So look how patient Humphrey is. He realizes is that Sebastian Joseph Day isn't like in his gap zone or whatever their pass protection is, because I don't know what it is, but he's patient and he waits until he realizes, I think that's Morgan Fox coming over.
Yeah, it is.
Dang, so he has a long path to get there. Yeah, look how patient he is. He waits, realizes he's in his zone. He has to pick up somebody else. Oh my God, did you see that?
Yeah.
Oh, poor Drew Tranquil. I think that's Drew Tranquil. Oh, dude, I love watching offensive line play. Boom. Or is that Callahan?
Oh, no, it's Michael Davis.
Oh, yeah. Well, my God, why the hell would you blitz Michael Davis? But that is just beautiful. That is textbook right there. That's poetry in motion right there. Watch him. Boom. Decks his out. You see how he doesn't even notice he's coming? He gets under his pads and just decks him. That is glorious.
It's funny because I feel like Kansas City, and I mean, here we go with another play. I feel like Kansas City kind of did what you've kind of envisioned. Like, instead of playing that number one receiver, you go out and you get look at Kelsey.
Yeah. Even Kelsey knows how to block. Who's that? Kenneth Murray?
Yeah.
Or is that annoying? No, it's Kenneth Murray. There he is. Well, look how Kenneth Murray, right? Even that's not a great block because he just kind of puts his body and his shoulder in there. He just absorbs them. He doesn't initiate contact. He's the absorber. Is the problem there? But look how Kenneth just doesn't do anything. He doesn't strike him. Nothing, dude. Like, that's why he's able to move him around. That's wild, dude. Might be a holding, but who knows? It is what it is.
So it feels to me like Kansas City did exactly what you said. Like, they decided to go with the offensive line instead of going with the number one receiver. They decided to trade the number one receiver to keep their quarterback up.
You have to. It was funny because shout out, I was at the game on Sunday, and when they would line up defensively, the Chargers, I was always like, oh, I'm running the football. And I'd say what gap I'm running it to. Because sometimes there was a lot of space like we saw in that first play. And I'm like, if I inside zone it right now downhill, like that A gap is guaranteeing me 2 or 3 yards, obviously, as long as no offensive lineman gets stood up or whatever. But there was a lot of space in there. So, I was surprised personally they didn't run it more. But, I mean, it is what it is.
Definitely. So, obviously, this weekend, the Chargers will be facing something different, I guess. Just because, I mean, and the news is that Kyler Murray should be playing this weekend against the Chargers. And obviously we all know how Kyler Murray is. He's a quarterback that moves around. He's able to scramble. Here's what Brandon Staley had to say about Kyler Murray and how he plays the game.
Very dangerous player, very productive player. He's really transformed, that offense there since he came into the league. And, I had to face him twice in 2020, and he's a very dangerous player. He's an outstanding thrower of the football. I mean, everyone knows about his legs, but he's an outstanding passer. He can really rip it. He can really spin it. He's got a lot of weapons to throw to. They create a lot of space for him. And he's a dangerous player.
He's not a big quarterback, but why is it hard to bring him down?
He's faster than
I think I recognize that voice.
He's a legitimate 4.3 guy. And he may not be tall, but he's got strong lowers. And he's a lot bigger guy than you think in person. And, just a, very dynamic player.
So there you go. Brandon Staley talks about how he is dangerous. He will move around. And that's what happened. I mean, and we've watched a couple of these games. Remember they were up. The Raiders were up on them. What was it? They were up on them like 20-0 or 23-0, something crazy like that.
Yeah.
And what got them to the Cardinals were able to come back? Why? Because Kyler Murray just started playing like if you were playing Madden, like he just started scrambling around, he started moving around, he started getting the ball to guys. So he really is. He's a dynamic dynamic quarterback who if danger happens, if he doesn't feel comfortable, he's just gonna take off running. And the tough part is that's why I asked Brandon about his height. I'm like, hey, it might it's difficult to take down a big quarterback like Justin Herbert, like some of those guys, but with him, it's like he's so tiny that not so tiny. He's a smaller version. So obviously it's tough to kind of bring him down and get him down. So that's why I had to ask Brandon about that. And Brandon's like, yeah, no, he's a lot thicker and he'll get through stuff. So yeah, the Chargers should have their hands full this weekend.
Well, that's why the key to victory defensively, keep him in the pocket and, don't give him anything easy in the sense of pre-snap reads. Like try and move around, confuse them, try and give them different looks. And then obviously when the ball snap, get to your proper reads and coverages and everything else. But, that's the key to victory. Keep him in the pocket, dude. Do not let him extend plays. Maintain contain, okay? Like that's the biggest thing. That's what hurt the Chargers against the Chiefs a few times. They didn't keep contain. So yeah, obviously when you collapse a whole side of the field or whatever, Patrick's going to read that in the pocket and he's going to escape always. He feels that stuff naturally. And you have to do a better job this week against Kyler Murray because he feels a pocket collapse. His first instinct is to run, extend the play, and then see what he has downfield. And if you can keep him in the pocket, I think it's going to be a long day for them.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, the thing is too, is that I think we might see a little bit more Derwin James blitzing this weekend. Because we all know the Cardinals offensive line isn't what it used to be, or isn't very good. So I think Khalil Mack may be in for a big game. I'm sure the Chargers will try and send Derwin James in a couple of times. Just because obviously you're gonna need somebody like Derwin who can bring the guy down. I mean, you saw last week and he blitzed and he was able to bring Patrick Mahomes down. Like it wasn't like how most guys have trouble bringing him down and he gets all slippery and stuff. Yeah. Derwin was able to bring him down right away. So that's obviously
he's a dog.
So obviously Derwin was able to do that. But the other thing that presents a little bit of trouble, in my opinion, this weekend is the receiver DeAndre Hopkins. He was out for what was it? He was out for 6 weeks, I think, with a suspension. He's come back, 45 catches, 487 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Like, he literally came back, and it's like he hasn't missed. Like, let me put it to you like this. Zach Ertz in 10 games has 406. Like, in less than half of those games, DeAndre Hopkins already, his stats are already equal to to Zach Ertz. So this is what Brandon Staley had to say about having to face DeAndre Hopkins this weekend.
Yeah, DeAndre's one of the top receivers in the game, one of the top players in the game, has been for a long time. Rare ball judge, strong hands. He's a bull. Just being with the Rams and, being with Jalen, who had so many great battles with him, just a lot of respect for him as a competitor and has done a lot to, give that offense a lot of production since he's got there, so full respect for his game. We're going to have to be at our best.
So obviously, yeah, they're gonna have to be at their best. They're gonna have to be able to play well against them. I don't know. It's gonna be an interesting matchup this weekend between both teams. But what do you think? I mean, DeAndre just. I mean, and even Monday against San Francisco, he just looks like he's still that guy. He's still that guy that can move the football.
100%.
He's still gaining on the yards. He hasn't scored that many touchdowns, but I think it's because it's been Colt McCoy and not and when they get in
Kyler
the red
Murray.
zone, they're yeah, because once they get in the red zone, I feel like they're doing better running the football, and James Conner's kind of getting in there and scoring the touchdowns. So with Kyler Murray, I think Kyler's going to be looking a lot more for DeAndre.
Oh yeah, 100%. And especially too, the biggest thing is going to be Asante. I assume Asante is going to be on him. Asante is going to have his hands full on him the whole time if he stays on him the whole time, or even Michael Davis is going to have his hands on him because DeAndre Hopkins obviously has some speed, but his like huge thing is like the mental game. How he runs his routes. He still has that physicality for that jump ball and body placement for to high point the ball and everything else. So, those two corners are going to have their hands full the whole time. And I don't know if he goes in the slot much, but if Bryce Callahan would take him in the slot, he's going to have his hands full also.
Here's been his stats since he's come back against New Orleans, his first game on Thursday Night Football in October 20th. He had 10 catches for 103 yards. The next week against Minnesota, 12 catches for 159 and 1 touchdown. Against Seattle, it wasn't that good. 4 catches for 36 yards, 1 touchdown. Against the Rams, 10 catches, 98 yards. And against the 49ers, 9 catches, 91 yards.
Damn, almost 100 per game.
Yeah, so he's still playing like DeAndre Hopkins. He's still doing well. I mean, I know some people were like, "Oh, well, is he going to be able to come back from the suspension and be himself?" I think he is. The one thing that I think is going to be a struggle, to be honest, is the Chargers have not been able, like, so they had this issue during their win streak, or not during their win streak, but like during when they went 3-1 up until the bye week, they had an issue where they would even against Atlanta. Okay, until the game against Atlanta, they would start off slow, and then they'd come back and they'd be able to by the end of the game they'd be able to pull out the game. And then it seems like as soon as they went to these last 2 games, the script is flipped. They start off the game well, and then they end the game terribly. I mean, like I said, they've been outscored 29-7 the past 2 weeks. And here's what Brandon Staley had to say about what's been going on with them in the second half of games, not matching the intensity in the first half.
Offensively, you guys have been able to score the ball pretty effectively in the first half. It's really fallen off in the second half. What do you feel like is going on there in terms of the discrepancy between the scoring and efficiency in the first half versus the second half?
I don't know if it's any one thing, but I think that to score the ball, a couple things need to happen. Is you have to have explosions. Driving the ball 10 to 12 to 15 plays, that's really tough to do in the league. You got to get explosive plays, and you got to stay away from negative plays. And so I think that, in the second half, our execution just needs to be better. It's not any facet of the run game or the pass game or what type of plays. You got to get the explosions no matter how you get them, run or pass. You got to stay away from negative plays. And I think that's inhibited our progress in second halves this year. And then, it's not just about your offense. It's about your defense too. It's about how your defense and your special teams plays, creating field positions. Do you score on defense? Can you create an advantage for your offense where they don't have to drive it as far? Or, there's a lot of factors in besides just your offensive output. And I think that's where my focus is just our team coming together and playing that complementary football so that it happens for all of us on every phase, not just one.
And that was the key term right there, right? What he said, avoiding negative plays. I think that's been their biggest problem all season, that in the second half or whenever they get hot, all of a sudden when it's a big momentum change type thing where they get the ball back, instead of being like, okay, now it's time to take control of the game, let's friggin' start dicing them up, moving the ball inch by inch or whatever. They're like, oh, let's get fancy. Let's do this. Let's do that. And then they're just taking negative plays on negative plays. And, the most important thing, right? If you average 4 yards per play, pass or run, you're never going to punt the football. It's like, don't be so amazed by the Twitter gurus or whoever on the social medias who say, you got to hit the ball deep. You got to deep shot it. You got to deep shot it. You got to deep shot it. You don't need to deep shot it. you want to have guys taking shots in, all types of plays. That way you have someone at every level, and we'll see who comes open. But there's nothing wrong with being, I don't want to say check down Charlie, because usually when the Chargers check down Charlie, it's behind the line of scrimmage. They'll get 1 to 2 yards. But it's like there's nothing wrong with going intermediate every time, right? As long as they're open, either they're beating the zones or they're beating the man coverage. And there's nothing wrong with that. Or running the football north and south effectively and getting 4 yards per play. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having a 10-play, 10-minute drive or something to that effect, right? Controlling the clock, tiring out the defense is the goal.
Yeah. No, and I mean, and honestly, I'm sorry to harp back on it, but that's what Kansas City did to the Chargers in the second half. They were just running the football. They were small plays. Like, it's funny because some people were like expecting Kansas City to go for those big time plays, the 50-yard bombs down the field. That's not what their offense is anymore, and that's what people need to learn. They've evolved.
They haven't been doing that.
They do 5, 10, 15 yards. They dissect you, and that's what I feel like that's what the Chargers need to learn. And I feel like Charger fans kind of need to learn that too. I mean, I know everybody loves when Justin Herbert scrambles to the right and sees Jalen Guyton down the field and throws a 50-yard bomb, but the one thing that he's learning, I'm sure, and that obviously some of the players are learning, is that it's okay to get on a 3-yard on a slant to get 5 yards, as long as you're moving the football positively. And that's kind of what's hurt, I think, the Chargers in a sense, because there are times, where you see the offense kind of stall because of the play, not because of the play calling, but because of the plays or because of what's going on. You see kind of drives stall out, or there's drops, or I know the Chargers are one of the top teams in the NFL in drops this season. So,
and that's inexcusable.
It's just mental errors that you're just like, come on, like you have to fix these if you're going to be a better team.
Well, and there's a reason we didn't see Trey McKitty really on Sunday Night Football. I don't think he really ran routes or had a target.
Yeah, no, he really didn't. I mean, because he really he
had 2 crucial drops Monday night.
Yeah.
That, as a pro, it's inexcusable.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter if you're undrafted or, a first-round pick. You're that open, you get 2 hands to it, you got to catch it, guy.
Yeah. This weekend, again, before we head out, this weekend's going to be interesting because the Chargers, obviously, they face the Cardinals. The Cardinals have a lot of really good weapons. The Chargers haven't been able to really stop a lot of I mean, they were able to slow down they were able to stop slow down the 49ers. They were able to kind of take the ball away sometimes from the Chiefs, but the problem is the Chargers didn't that kind of stuff. So that also hurt them. But there's been a lot said about Brandon Staley and his defense, especially because last year the Chargers decided, hey, we're gonna go spend all this money on the offense. Draft picks, we're going to go get Rashawn Slater, Corey Linsley, Matt Filer. We're going to go get all these players on offense. And now this year they built up the defense, and the defense hasn't lived up to the billing. They're the worst team in the NFL on third down. They're allowing the ball to be rushed, to be ran on them at a high mark. So here's what Brandon Staley had to say about how he would evaluate his defense. I think it's 11 weeks into 12 weeks into the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're a work in progress. I think a lot of the people that you're mentioning that we joined up with, not all of them are at our, games right now. And that's part of it, just being able to manage, new people and find the right combination of players and the right combination of schemes. And that's what we're doing right now. We've played quality football that's given our team a chance to win. And, we got to make the improvements just like the rest of our football team in that phase, for us to be able to contend on the stretch and be what we're capable of being. So, I mean, I look at it, game to game, are you maximizing that group? Because, expectations in terms of starting a season, those are just what they are, as expectations. There's a reality of the NFL, and you got to change with the facts on the ground. And where you have to live in the NFL is week to week. And I know that our defense has given us a chance to win every week, and that's all you can ask for. And then in terms of making the progress where, you're playing at the high standard that I believe in, that I expect, that takes time, and that's certainly where we're at right now.
And so obviously, Brandon, they're saying that there are some things that obviously they need to get better at, but that they're still a work in progress. They're still trying to get guys. Obviously, the whole defense isn't healthy. They're missing a lot of guys. You do have to kind of, in a sense, give them a little bit. I mean, give a little bit of credit to the defense for some of the games that they've played, some of the games that they've been able to pull out because of the performance by the defense. I think some people hone on the defense way too much and they give too much blame to the defense. It's just, I mean, injuries have really
100%.
taken a big toll. And like I said, there's times where the defense gets stops and the Chargers offense just can't put anything together. But
Yeah, we saw it last Sunday.
yeah, so I mean, you have to be able to match the effort by the defense, and the Chargers in the second half didn't do that. I think the Chiefs punted, if I'm not mistaken. They punted quite a few times. They punted a couple of times in the second half, and the Chargers weren't able to do. No, this is September.
That's 100% true though, because we've seen it in time again. Because it's either one of two things, right? I caught a lot of flack after the Jacksonville game on this program with a certain stooge. Shout out, love you, Hilberto. That I said, the problem isn't the defense. If your defense is, say, in that game, for instance, right? Jacksonville's offense had run 2 times the amount of plays that the Chargers offense had. So if your opponent's offense is dominating time of possession, running 2 times the amount of plays, yeah, obviously your defense is going to get gassed come the second half, and they're going to freaking, score an insane amount of points, yards, and everything else. The problem is sometimes, if the defense gets a 3 and out or they'll stop a drive, then they punt. Chargers then go 3 and out and they give it back. So, of course, the defense getting exhausted at some point. Like, it's ridiculous to think they're not, because that's always been the problem. You don't have sustained drives. You're not, chewing up time of possession, giving them a time to breathe, trying to keep your opponent's quarterback and offense cool. And that does take a toll. It does take a toll. Like it or not, it does take a toll. I don't care what anybody has to say.
Okay, so yeah, my fault. The Chiefs only punted twice in this game. The Chargers actually did take it. No, in the whole game.
Oh, okay.
The Chargers actually did take advantage. In the first punt by Kansas City, the Chargers scored a touchdown. In their second punt, the Chargers only got a field goal. That was the one right before halftime where they didn't take advantage and they didn't score a touchdown at the end, but before the halftime. But wow, Kansas City scored 6, 7, 3, and 14. I mean, that's the thing. They consistently score in every quarter. The Chargers had 10, 10, 0, and 7. Yeah. You got to be like Kansas City. You have to be able to score at least 3 points in every, at least score 3 points in the quarter where you had 0, and there you would have tied the game up. So yeah, it's a little rough. But all right, Dan, let's head now to who's a fantasy player that you got your eye on this weekend?
Fantasy player, I'm gonna go with James Conner. Like we talked about, the Chargers are down, I think, 3 defensive linemen, right? Besides the bust who got waived or whatever.
Yeah.
I hate that they say waived, by the way. That makes no sense to me. Cut him. His ass got cut. So they're down 3 besides that guy, right?
Yeah.
You're down 3 defensive linemen. If it was me, I'm personally pounding the rock, maybe throwing a few zone reads, some RPO stuff. I'm trying to pound the rock on the Chargers defensive line. That's who I'm watching. That would be for me. I'd get James Conner.
I'm gonna go Joshua Palmer. I think he's really proven the last few weeks that he's put some good stuff together. I think he's he's growing with his relationship with Justin Herbert. I mean, I asked Keenan on Sunday, I'm like, what'd you think about the way Josh Palmer did? He's like, oh, big time. He's like, he had a full complete game. He's like, he did it in the run block. He did it in everything that we asked Josh Palmer to do, he's doing. Same thing that Justin Herbert said. He said that that both of them staying after practice has really helped their relationship out. And I feel like that's only going to continue. So I'll go with Joshua Palmer. Give me an X factor.
I think the X factor is going to be that Chargers defensive line. Can they keep, obviously besides keeping a lid on the run game, but can they keep Kyler Murray in the pocket? Because, the few times Pat Mahomes got outside the pocket, it hurt him. It hurt him in crucial situations. That's what helped him set up that game-winning touchdown. So, that to me is going to be the X factor. Can you keep him in the pocket? Can you, harass him with 4 guys rushing or whatever you're doing? As long as you can keep him in the pocket and get to him, I think there's no way they don't pull a victory out on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Khalil Mack. I think Khalil Mack has a big game. I think he gets I'll say he gets 2 sacks. and maybe a forced fumble. So I think Khalil's going to have a big game this weekend. I think the Chargers will move him around, have him do a couple of different things, and I think Khalil has a big game. Dan, give me your prediction.
This is what I wanted to touch on at some point in the episode. But in my mind, there's no way that offseason stuff has not, spilt into the in-season stuff now. With the whole Kyler Murray stuff in the offseason and all that stuff, trying to hold the team hostage and everything else.
You've seen in season. I mean, he has that video
fighting.
where he's yelling at Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, he yells at Cliff Kingsbury.
Some other players.
DeAndre Hopkins and other players. We saw our good friend, our compa, JB, shout out, put a video on Twitter where, a player's not even, trying to run and tackle the 49er player, not, giving full maximum effort. So, who knows at this point, this late in the year, our guys still bought in, because that's always the hardest thing when a team's losing, right? And it's like, you have the whole Kyler Murray situation, which I believe isn't resolved. And, there's a lot more there than we're finding out. But, I mean, how are they going to keep you know what? That's what I was going to say. I think that's why they've had so much dysfunction, and they haven't lived up to what they thought they were going to be. So, I think there's less dysfunction in the Chargers organization. It's just, I'm not going to go there, but I think the Chargers win for that reason. I think the Chargers are more of a team and united at 5-5 than, obviously the Cardinals at 4-7.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Chargers as well. I think Derwin said it a couple of days ago that they need this game, they need this victory, they need to win, they need to feel like it's like a basketball player. You need to see the ball, a 3-point shooter. You need to see the ball go through the hoop for you to be able to get hot. So so I say that the Chargers finally get this one. They get this one, and they start the back end of their season 6-5, and in December it's going to be a tough road. You have to go to the Raiders. You play the Miami Dolphins. You play the Tennessee Titans. Those two games right there. Yeah. You have to at least split. You're going to have to at least split. And then and I said it the other day and I got confused, but no, I got it. They go to Indy the day after Christmas. Then they come back and they play the Rams, where hopefully Gilberto will join us on What's Up Bolts.
He better.
And then after that, they end the season in Denver. Like I've been telling people, no matter the way Denver looks, if you're going to go into the playoffs, you have to have that wild card spot clinched up before you go to Denver, because that Denver game, Denver's going to play them tough, and they'll try and eliminate them.
For whatever reason, when this team goes to the Mile High, it's like they forget how to play football.
Exactly.
And they've done that since Peyton Manning was there.
Exactly. So that's been another great episode of What's Up, Bolts. Guys, don't forget, we got a lot of good things cooking up right now at the COMPAS on the Beat Network. I know some people are down and out about the Rams, but Gilbert and Victor Producer are so doing some good stuff over at House of Horns. Go check that out. Gilbert's already obviously in the locker room. He hears things, he sees things. So obviously he can let you know how the Rams are feeling. Right now, I'm honest with you guys. I'm always honest with you guys. What I'm seeing right now in the Chargers locker room is the guys are excited. They feel like they still have something to fight for. They feel like they can fight and get this wild card spot. If I saw something different, I would tell you guys. But no, these guys really are fighting for it, and they want to go full blast for it.
Well, exactly, because big picture, they're not even out of it. I think the next teams ahead of them have similar.
It's the Patriots and the Jets, and
they have the Jets. They're like a game behind them or whatever.
Yeah. So definitely, so anything can happen. Really, you just need to control your destiny. Then moving forward, we have Combat Compas, where Gilbert and I will be doing some more stuff after Thanksgiving and all this holiday celebrations out of the way. We'll be doing some more stuff on there. Also, we have COMPAS on the Beat. Don't forget about COMPAS on the Beat. We break down everything from that we see from the NFL. It was some good stuff this week. Unfortunately, Dan and Dago and Victor Producer couldn't be there.
Yeah, and you try your comedy hour routine over there, trying to imitate your boy Dan and Dago, trying to leave me jobless before Christmas.
Never. We would never do that to you.
Unemployed.
Never. I don't think Gilberto could do that good of a job like you can. So then we go. So then we have that, and then we have COMPAS FC. Don't forget to check that out, guys. That's a new show that we just unveiled. It is all about the World Cup. If you guys like it, like, comment, subscribe, do it to all of it. But obviously that one as well, because that's our baby. That's our little, like Russell Westbrook does. That's our little baby.
We're trying to Dan and Diego in there too. I see his ass.
We're trying to take that one off. If you guys like it, please let us know, because obviously if it's a good show, if you guys like it, we will continue it during the soccer season with Champions League, the EPL season, La Liga, Bundesliga, League One, the Italian, the Serie A, and even the Europa League, even the Europa Champions is going to be good too. I mean, you have Barcelona, you have Manchester United, you have all this other stuff.
The best rule change that FIFA or whoever has done, by the way, bumping out the losers of the group stage into Europa. That makes it a lot more interesting.
Yeah, it makes it suck. So guys, please check out that all out. Dan and Diego and I really want to wish you guys a very happy Thanksgiving, and we hope that you're surrounded by your loved ones. We hope that you guys have a lot of food, a lot of great conversations with your families, a lot of great just quality time with your family, loved ones, whoever you guys are spending it with. Please enjoy the holiday season. It's such a great time to be around family, to and just to really shoot the shit, to be honest. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Right. Watch some football. And
exactly.
How many more times in your life are you ever going to say, oh, I saw World Cup soccer in the morning, and here I got American football later in the afternoon. It's
exactly. You're gonna get you're not only your TV and your plate and your stomach are all gonna be full of sports and food this weekend. But we appreciate you guys so much. Don't forget, be a friend, tell them about what your compas are doing right now. They got everything rolling. We appreciate you guys so much. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your loved ones. And again, Sunday after the Chargers and Cardinals game, Dan and Diego and I will be here to break down all things Chargers versus Cardinals. Thank you guys so much. Happy Thanksgiving.